Good morning, Michelle Arnott here at Diamond Rock Glass Studio. Thank you so much for joining me. We are making the much requested piano box today. So this is the actual piano box that I made for today's video. So I'm going to walk you through step by step how I made this and take all the mystery out of it. This is actually really fun to make. You can make one of these in a day. It doesn't really take too long. So to make this piano box, I used a jig by my brother Mark at Game On 3D. This is heat proof and it is very durable and so helpful not only to make the piano box, but to make any box, hinge box, for example. I use this to make the simple hinge boxes in the last video. I'm going to use it in my next video to make these adorable tissue box covers. Check out my website. There's going to be different options on how to purchase this piano box kit. So one of the options is going to be the keyboard, the jig, and the pattern and everything that you need to make this piano box. And then if you decide you want to make more pianos in the future, I will be selling these keyboards either individually or I think as a set of 5 for a discounted price. If you find my tutorials helpful and you would like to continue to see them, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. Now let's get started. Let me introduce you to the pattern and the glass that we'll be using today. So the pattern you will receive in this kit comes on 4 pieces of cardstock. On these 3 sheets, I've got the piano box sides and the piano box top and the piano box bottom. So that's the piano box sides, the piano box top and bottom. And then this sheet is the front of the piano box and the legs. So it's the front of the piano box here, including the keyboard sides, and the legs. So I will walk you through this step by step. The keyboard in the kit, you'll get a keyboard that has been meticulously made in the kiln using tweezers with stringers and noodles on fusible glass, and it's tack fused in the kiln. And so we've made a bunch of these. So your kit will include one, and then if you choose to make more, you may order more keyboards individually, or I think I'll sell them in a set of 5 for maybe a discounted price, but you can check out my website for that. So now let me show you the glass. This is Oceanside glass. This is Fuser's Reserve called Fiesta. It's got like a reddish orange, some sparkly green, white, and clear. And I paired that with this defective piece of glass. I've had this for about 5 years. And I say defective because it says on here cherry red, and this is not cherry red. Oceanside mixed some colors. It looks like orange with red. So this is actually cherry red, and this is the orange. So I may never be able to get this piece of glass again. Like I said, it was a defect. And so my wholesaler, they called me when they got this in and asked if I wanted a piece. And so I've been saving it for really special projects. And I think this piano is pretty special. So, and I already cut out the pieces. So I'm going to cut the box bottom and the long side from this reddish orange and the legs from this reddish orange. And I think I'm going to do the keyboard sides also. So that will be from this, and the piano box top and everything else is going to be from this Fiesta. So I'm going to arrange these, and I'm going to use my handy Pilot gold marker and trace all the pieces and start cutting. Now I have everything cut out. When you get this kit, I would maybe make a copy of the pattern so you can, if you want, put everything back and see how you're doing. Make sure you have all your pieces cut out. And as you can see, I cut everything according to the pattern. For example, the front of the piano, I needed to cut 2 of these. So now I am going to grind all of these pieces and then foil all these pieces, and then I'll be back and we'll start the assembly of our piano box. Now I have all the grinding done and all of the foiling done. We are going to first work on the box bottom and sides. So I'm going to set aside the front of the piano box and legs and also the top of the piano box. So we are going to assemble these parts first. So I have done all the foiling, like I said, except for one of these 12 side pieces. And that will become clear later as I go through the assembly. So again, we have the box bottom and the box sides. So I have the top of the glass, of all of this glass, is facing up. So I am going to want the top of the glass to be facing out. So here's the top of the glass. I'm going to have it go like this. And this is where this piece goes. So we're going to assemble these 2 pieces first. And then we're going to work on assembling these on the outside of the rest of the back of the box. So I'm going to grab my jig right away. So this, again, is made by my brother Mark, and he puts these ridges in here so when you assemble your pieces, this ridge is 3 millimeters thick, which a standard piece of glass is 3 millimeters. So I'm going to put the top of the glass is here. I'm going to face that down, and then I'm going to put this piece here. And now I can assemble these at a perfect angle. Now I'm going to grab my handy wedges and I'm going to situate them here and kind of dump this out onto the perfect 90-degree angle handy wedges. And as you can see, this is a perfect angle right here. And now we're just going to reinforce the back of this. So now that we got the 2 bigger sides attached to the bottom, we're going to start assembling these smaller sides to go all the way around it. So this is pretty easy to do. You want to just hold it next to, I like to start with this one. I'm just going to hold it next to there, add some flux. Remember, I have the outside of the glass going out. So we're just going to hold it like that, tack it, and just continue going all the way around. So we got all the way around and we have this slight gap right here. So that's what this one, I have saved this one for. We're gonna cut this about in half to be able to fit in there. So I'm gonna cut and foil this, and then we're gonna fit that piece in there. So I cut this piece down and I just need to fill in this little gap right here. So I'm going to attach that on the top on both sides. So now I have all the sides attached to the bottom. Well, I shouldn't say attached because right here it's only attached at the top. So now what I want to do is actually attach it to the bottom. So we're going to flex all of this inside. So it is attached on these two longer sides, but all of these small sections that I just put in here, they are only attached at all of the tops. So what I want to do is snugly tuck them up to the bottom and then drop solder. So it is, all these pieces are actually attached to the bottom. So all the sides are securely attached to the bottom. So now I can flip it over, and now what I want to do is use my handy wedge and fill in all of this underside of the piano. So I'm going to do that next. So I want to point something out here as we're looking at the bottom. Remember when I added the sides, the two longer sides to the bottom, I used the jig and it gave me a perfect 90-degree angle. And then when I added all of the shorter pieces, I attached the tops first. So the top is all level and even. But once I had all those shorter pieces attached at the top, I should have lifted it just a little to give it a really nice 90-degree angle all the way around the bottom of the box. But since I didn't, that is not a big deal at all. So if you do this, that's not a big deal. It's going to look just as nice as if you had that 90-degree angle. Ideally it would, but since it doesn't, it's not a big deal at all. So let's go ahead and fill in all of the bottom. Keep in mind as you're doing this, if you have too much solder in any one spot for too long, you can crack the glass, and we're using a lot of solder right now. So keep in mind, you know, if you're getting too much heat in one place, move to a different spot and then let it cool a little bit and go back to it. So better safe than sorry. So I tend to kind of jump around and then go back to where I need to go back to. So I have everything covered with solder. Everything is filled in on the inside and the outside. The only place I did not fill in with solder is this piece right here. And the reason for that is because that is where the rod for the hinge set will go into. So here's the top. The top's going to be attached like this. So there's going to be a hinge set that goes down here and then the other side down here. So, but I think next we are going to work on the front of the piano box. So let's get this page back out. So we're going to need these two pieces. I'm going to have the front side going out. So those are going to go like this. This is the top. And then these are the two sides. So we're going to need these pieces here. So I want the front side to be out, facing out. So this is the front here. This is the top. So that will go like that. So now I'm going to attach the top to the side. So I somehow stopped recording, but all I did was I attached the front, the back, the top, and the two sides. So you basically have a rectangular cube, a rectangular box that's missing the bottom. So the missing bottom is at the bottom. So as you can see, we still need to put this on with a hinge set. We still need to put the keyboard here and the two keyboard sides. If you hear noise, it's my two dogs. I've got two small dogs and they're playing around right now. So this is gonna go on, I think I'm gonna put the keyboard on next, and then maybe I'll do the legs. But I hope you can see how I put this rectangular cube on. Once you have it finished, it's easiest to put everything upside down and just attach it on the seam here, and then you can attach it on this seam here as well. And then you're gonna attach it here, and remember on this side, this is where the hinge set is gonna go. So we've got a rod that's gonna run about 1 inch down on each side there. So I did not fill this all in. So let's go ahead and make our keyboard. So the keyboard, the black keys go toward the piano. So we can do something like this. I'm going to work on the legs next. The first thing I like to do is to tin them all. And notice I have a glove on now. You really should be wearing a glove for all of the soldering. So let's go ahead and tin all of these. got the tinning done on all of the legs, and just to show you, here's the bottom side of the piano. We're gonna have a set of legs here, a set of legs here, and we're gonna have another set of legs right here. So these two sets are going to be at a 90-degree angle. So I'm gonna use my jig for two of these sets. So, and I want the outside of the glass out, so it's gonna be like this. I have my two sets of legs ready here and these two tinned pieces here. So I'll start by attaching this one here. So we're down to the last piece of the piano, and that is the piano top. So the first thing that I'm going to do is tin the copper foil. So I have the top all tinned, and this is what will be holding the hinge set. So if you have not seen my last video, it's how to make a simple hinged box, and I introduce you to a hinge set, which consists of a tube and a rod. The rod fits inside of the tube, and this will get shortened. I will talk about that next, but this will be attached to the side of this top. And in order to reinforce this top, all it is copper foil tape that's been tinned with the solder. So imagine if you were just to attach this, that tape would come right off and it would fall apart. So there's a way to reinforce this that will allow the hinge set to attach to it and be strong and not pull away from the glass. So that way to reinforce this is with 18 gauge wire. So if you buy this from my website, the kit will include enough 18 gauge wire, and this is pre-tinned 18 gauge wire, and we are going to wrap it around the top here. So let's just go ahead. This will all need to be fluxed, the pre-tinned wire, and we're going to attach it to the tinned copper foil. So let's go ahead and just start. You can start anywhere. And then we're going to, this is the top. The top is facing up. The front side of the glass is facing up. And the wire is down on my Homosoap board. So I'm just going to kind of tack it in a few spots all the way around. And then I'm going to smooth it out. And then I'm going to flip it over and see how the back side looks. So this looks pretty good. I've got the 18 gauge wire attached all the way around. I did the top first, I tacked it all the way around, and then I went through and smoothed it all the way around, attached it all the way around, and then I went to the back side and smoothed it out, just make sure that it looks nice. So I think this looks nice. So now we will start to attach the hinge set. So again, the hinge set, we've got the tube and the rod. We're going to deal with the tube first. So we want this slightly shorter than from here to here. So I'm going to mark this with a marker. And then we're going to cut this tube right where that mark is. So a couple of ways to cut these hinge sets. I have this 2-inch benchtop cutoff saw, but what I will have on my website is, and this is a little saw that you can use to saw these. So these work perfectly fine, but since I have this handy, that my 2-inch benchtop cutoff saw, they work even better. Here's my black mark. I'm going to just cut this right where that black mark is. So now I want to attach this tube to my piano top, and right where it will make sure that this tube is where it needs to be on the piano bottom. So I think I want my box top to lay something like this. So this is exactly where it's going to go on the top. Do you see? This is where once that rod is inserted, it's going to go down here and then down here. I'll make a mark where I want the side of this. Before I attach this tube, and see I made little black marks where this is to fit on here, but before I am able to attach the tube to the side of the top, I need to tin the tube. So I'm plugging each side with a toothpick. I just tore a toothpick in half, and now I'm going to flux and then tin this tube. So now I have the tube tinned. It's very hot, be careful. So now I need to attach it to the side of the top. So again, I did mark with a black marker where this needs to be attached. And feel free to keep the ends plugged, because until you get that rod in there, you need to make sure that the ends of the tubes do not get closed off with solder. So I'm going to keep the toothpicks in and attach this tube to the side of the box, or to the side of the top. And you want to avoid the very end where the tube opening is. Just avoid it by maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. You just want to make sure that it does not get closed off. You could go back and forth all day, but this looks good enough. This looks very good. I'm going to take the toothpicks out and make sure that this opening did not get clogged, and we're good. So awesome. So what I'm going to do, okay, so this is where this is going to sit on the piano. So this rod needs to be shortened, and then also we're going to bend it on each side. So what I like to do with these pianos is cut it in half also. So it's not going to be one rod that goes all the way like this. It's going to be 2 rods. That just helps, so when you bend it, it's easier to bend it in the right spot, or move it so it goes right down in the area where it's supposed to go down in. So I'm going to need to shorten this. I want it to go down about 1 inch or so on each side. So that means I want to shorten it right here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this in half. Okay, so at this point, you can go ahead. Remember, you want it to go down about 1 inch. So I'm going to go about 1 inch from the end and just bend it a 90-degree angle like that, and do the same with this one. Just bend it. One side is going to fit over here, and one side will fit over here. And now we are going to solder these rods into the 2 areas that we left kind of open. Remember, I said don't fill it in all the way, because we are going to be inserting a rod. So now we want to solder the rod into the opening. See, on the right, and then I got to situate this a little better on the left. But on the left, we will be soldering into that opening on both sides. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to stained glass, or you need a refresher, please feel free to go back to my very first video. It's about 55 minutes long, and it teaches you the entire process of stained glass. So from picking out your pattern to picking out your glass, how to cut, grind, foil, solder, and finally finish your piece. It's all taught in that first video. Thanks again and have a great day.